The bandits are here, my husband. Please let us leave quickly through the back door. Mama Tito said with fear as she watched how bandits beat people and take their kids away from the window. Get the kids ready and let us leave quickly. Baba Tito replied, putting his phone and some money in a small bag. As the family left through the back door and walked through the forest path, two men appeared from behind the trees. They hit Mama Tito and her husband with the butts of the guns and took the kids from them. The kids tried to wriggle free, but the men held on tight. When they tried to stop the men, they shot the couple and left. The bandits are responsible for grooming these kids that they have kidnapped into armed robbers, thieves, and bandits. The twin, Tito and Tolu, were only 4 years old when this happened. 25 years after the incident, Tito had grown into a beautiful young lady. She was adopted by the Ayinde's family after she was found by the police, who caught the bandits that killed her parents when she was only 4 years old. But the Ayinde family never mentioned this to her or treat her differently from their biological daughter, Teni. The Ayindes are successful makers of tie and dye clothing, and they are well known around the community. Teni and Tito became close sisters whom everybody refers to as the unidentical twins around the village. They do everything together, from fetching firewood, going to the stream, and going to school. One day, both sisters were walking on a path when a handsome young man stopped them to ask for directions. He is from the city and he seemed lost. They directed him and he thanked them. Tito couldn't stop blushing over him as he walked away. Tenny then asked her to concentrate and stop crushing over a man. Tito called Tenny a pretender who always acts like she doesn't have feelings for the opposite sex. But Tenny replied, I'm not saying that he's not handsome. I just think it doesn't make sense for you to make it look obvious as a lady if you don't want to lose the respect of a man. Tito still doesn't care and she watched the man admiringly as he walked away. The two girls then started talking about the upcoming festival where a prince has to choose the woman of his dreams. Tenny said she has always wanted to be a princess to enjoy the good life and stop going to the stream to fetch water or do the laundry. She says, my beautiful skin is not meant for suffering, no. I want to get married to a very rich man and enjoy my life to the fullest. Denny then replied that getting married to a rich man shouldn't be the goal. Rather, she should think of how to make her own money and not become a liability in marriage. Tito called her oversabi and even asked her why she loves being poor so much that she doesn't wish for a comfortable life. Tenny then replied, I also want to live a stress-free life, but I don't want to put my hope on a man or any human being. I would rather work hard and become what I've always wanted to be. That way, I will gain the respect and admiration of my husband. Tito hissed and walked away as Tenny said this. She later caught up with her and the two girls got back home at dusk. After dropping their pot of water, they were shocked to see the man that asked for directions in their home. He was talking to their parents. The two girls greeted them and went inside. Tito eavesdropped on their conversations while Tenny prepared to cook their dinner. The man was ready to leave after a while, and Tito quickly went out to bid him goodbye. When he left, the girls asked their parents why the man was there, and they replied that he was directed by the king there. He is from the city and they need a large production of Adire clothes to resell in the city. The girls were very happy to hear this, but Tito was more happy knowing that she would get to see the man more often. 2 days later, the man came back to see if the materials were ready. He introduced himself as Mr. Adisa to the girls. Tito would flirt with him from time to time and Adisa knew immediately that she likes him. He started developing feelings for her, but he likes Tenny more. Tenny, on the other hand, works hard to get the job done quickly and she doesn't give any chances for much conversations. Adisa started liking her more, but is not sure if she feels the same way. One day, after the day's job, Mr. Adisa opened up to the girls that he is only a messenger for the clothing company he's working for, and he is doing everything to have his own store and become a boss. Tito was disappointed to hear this because she thought he was a rich man due to how he dresses. Now that she knows he's not the type of man she wants to marry, Tito started giving him attitude and didn't work hard like before. She would often look at Mr. Adisa with disdain and show of disappointment. Mr. Adisa was surprised at the change in her attitude. Weeks later, the production was almost ready and Mr. Adisa was about to leave for the city. He sent for the girls, but only Tenny came immediately. He explained to her that his boss has an opening in his workplace in the city, and if the girls are willing, they can come work with him. Tito let out a loud laugh, and she said, "So, you expect me to live here and go and work as a slave in the city? When I first saw you, I thought you were well-to-do, not knowing you were only an errand boy." "I'm sorry to say, Mr. Adisa, everyone cannot work as an errand boy or girl. I would rather stay with my parents and work with them here than I'm going to work as a slave for someone in the city." Mr. Adisa got the message and he replied that he understood her point and respected her choice, and he wished her best of luck. As Adisa was leaving, Tenny said she's interested in the offer, but she doesn't want to leave her sister behind. So she asked him to give her until the next day to get back to him. So Adisa decided to wait until the next day to know the girls' decision. When the girls got home, Teni informed their parents about Mr. Adisa's offer, and they were very happy to hear this. After much persuasion from the parents, Tito finally decided to move with Teni to the city. The next morning, the girls were set out to leave and their parents followed them. They got back to the city that afternoon feeling exhausted. Mr. Adisa took them to his one-bedroom apartment, and even though they were displeased with it, they pretended everything was fine, except Tito, who mentioned that she couldn't spend another night in that house, even though Mr. Adisa showed them the girls' room where they can have their privacy. So, Tito moved back to the village the next day despite her sister's pleadings for her to stay back. Tenny was not happy that her sister left, but there was nothing she could do. She started working at Mr. Adisa's company, and she was loved for her diligence. Her superiors would often praise her for her hard work, and soon she became a manager at one of the clothing stores. Adisa became very fond of her and they soon became very close. One day, he expressed his love for her and his wish to marry her. But Tenny told him that her sister Tito likes him very much and she can't take her sister's man. Mr. Adisa laughed out loud and told her that they were just friends back at the village, and she has made him understand that she can't marry someone like him. Still, Tenny went to the village to inform her parents and Tito of Adisa's proposal. Her parents were happy that she's getting married, while Tito tried to discourage her and asked her to look for a rich man to marry in the city. Tenny then replied that she already has a good job and a rich man would only be a bonus. She said she loves Adisa despite his financial state and is willing to go through with the wedding. Weeks later, the wedding took place and Tenny found out Adisa had just building a big house and they moved in together. He explained to Tenny that he has other properties, but he has been finding it difficult to find love because everyone is always interested in his money. He said that he had to hide his identity as the owner of the clothing stores across the city to find true love. He said he was confused when he met Teni and Tito started showing him love. He was happy that she revealed her true colors when he lied that he was only an errand boy. Teni was not happy that he lied about his financial status, but he apologized and they both lived happily. Months later, Teni became pregnant and she became very sick. Her husband informed her parents and they quickly rushed down to the city to see her. When they got there, they were surprised to see the beautiful house and cars, and they asked Adisa. He said, "Mama, Papa, I'm sorry. but I've always found it hard to find true love. I decided to come up with a plan, and I'm happy to find it in the arms of your daughter, Teni. I'm sorry once again. I did not intend to deceive all of you. Tenny's father called him a wise man for devising such means because if he didn't find true love, he may end up losing everything he worked for. So they understood. Tito found this shocking, but she didn't show her emotions. By the time they back to the village, Tito was no longer who she used to be. She cried for losing such a rich man and blamed her sister for it. She was sitting under a tree one day when she started thinking aloud. If Tenny hadn't married him, I would have been able to get him back. I guess it is too late now. God. Oh my God, what a loss. She said aloud as she sobbed. Days later, she visited the couple again to spend some time with Tenny, and from that time, she visited them more often. One day, Tenny woke up one morning to find blood all over her clothes. She screamed in pain and Adisa rushed her to the hospital. The doctor told Adisa that she had just lost their baby and the couple cried. Tito spent some days with them and she helped Tenny out with running little errands until she's fit enough. One day, she called Tenny and Adisa and advised them to get a house help to reduce the stress she goes through and to prevent pregnancy loss in future. Tenny thought it was a good advice and Adisa agreed. A few days later, Tito brought a young girl from the village to help around the house. Now that they have house help, Tito's constant visit has reduced, and even though Tenny would complain about missing her, she never visits. After the loss of the pregnancy, Adisa and Tenny tried to have babies for years, but Tenny always miscarried. During the 5th year of their marriage, Adisa surprised Tenny with a beautiful house outside the city, and she was very happy. She told Tito about this, and Tito visited her. She celebrated with her and stayed for a full week and left. Tenny found out she was pregnant when Tito left, but she didn't tell anyone, including her husband, who was away on a business trip. She wanted to surprise him when he came back from his trip. Her husband called the next day to inform her that his business trip would take a few months because he's trying to set up a business in the north. She couldn't bear to stay away from him for that long, especially now that she's pregnant. So she paid him a surprise visit and insisted on being with him until he's done with his business. My love, I can't do this alone, no. This pregnancy is in the 3rd month and I didn't tell anyone because I was ashamed of what to tell them if I lose it again. I think it's better we keep it this way and tell our families when the baby comes. She told him and he agreed. You are right, my love. Sometimes it is best to keep such news to yourself when the babies keep dying. At least you won't have to share the bad news of losing another pregnancy with them if it happens, even though I'm not praying it happen. The couple agreed and kept the pregnancy a secret. Months later, Tenny gave birth to 2 healthy boys and their joy knew no bounds. They informed their families and everyone was happy for them. They had a big celebration and everyone ate and drank to their satisfaction. Months later, Tenny and her husband returned to their home. After this, and Tito visited again. Tenny told her everything she went through during the pregnancy, and she even showed her some of the pictures she took and the videos she made while pregnant. After a while, Tenny left to prepare lunch and she asked Tito to watch over her babies. When she came back, she found Tito and the baby sleeping. She woke Tito up, but she told her she would eat later. Tito left for the guest room while Tenny ate her food and went back to the sitting room. After 4 hours, Tenny was concerned that the babies had been sleeping since and she decided to feed them. But when she went to pick them up, they weren't breathing. She called Tito to help her, and after trying to wake the babies without success, they quickly rushed them to the hospital. While at the hospital, the doctor was able to stabilize the babies. He told them that the baby's food was poisoned and the chances of survival is slim. Tenny fainted when she heard this. Tito cried her eyes out as they revived her sister. Adisa rushed to the hospital. He was devastated to hear the news. He stayed with his wife and babies at the hospital for days, and Tito was always available to help out too. The effects of the situation soon affected Adisa greatly, and he couldn't concentrate any longer. He was always deep in thought, but Tito was always available to lend a word of advice. One day, Tito drugged Adisa's tea and went to his room when he was asleep. She was happy that the opportunity she has always dreamt of has finally presented itself. She locked the door from inside and pulled off Adisa's top. As she was removing the clothes, she saw a tribal mark by the upper part of his stomach. She was shocked because it was the exact mark she has. She checked again and found out it's the same mark on her body. She left the room that night confused. The next morning, Tito told Adisa that she would be going to the village because there was an emergency. When she got home, she showed her birthmark to her parents and asked them why they gave her the mark. Her mother heaved a heavy sigh and she asked her to come with her. They went inside and her father started telling her the story of how she was picked when she was only 4 years old. My daughter, I know we should have told you a long time ago, but we were waiting for the right time. But now that you asked, it is time to tell you the story. After giving birth to Teni, we had to leave our village due to lack of good water. On our way, we heard the cry of a little girl along the bush path and we carried her. You were that little girl. We took you to the Den King and he found your home. But we were told that your parents were killed by bandits. We also found out you were twins, but your twin brother could not be found. We searched and searched for years, but it was all in futility. We gave up the search about 10 years ago, and we hope that you meet him one day. We are sorry for keeping this away from you. We just wanted to tell you at the right time. Tito was speechless. She couldn't believe her ears. She started screaming and crying. Oh my God. So, you people adopted me. Oh my God. I've been killing my twins' children in the womb. I also poisoned the twins. Oh my God. Will you forgive me? Her parents were shocked to hear this. They asked her what she meant by all the jargons she's saying. And she replied, I've been the one responsible for Tenny's miscarriages over the years. I hired a housemaid because I know I can't stay in their home forever. I used to give her herbal medicine to put in Tenny's drinks and food so that she will lose her pregnancy. But I lied that it is to help her conceive. I did this and poisoned the twins to get Adisa back. But I found out yesterday night that we share the same birthmark. Her parents were shocked to hear this. They started eating her and calling her evil, and Tito ran out of the house. She went to the hospital to check on the twins, but they died before she got there. She couldn't bring herself to tell the couple what she did. Her parents arrived shortly with the police and she was arrested. Teni and Adisa were shocked to the bone marrow, but they were more surprised when they heard everything she did. Teni cried and cried. The housemaid was also arrested, but she was bailed because she did not know Tito meant any harm. This movie teaches us to always do good, because when you do bad, you may be harming those you love without realizing it. It also teaches us never to despise the days of little beginnings, because you never know what is in store for you from your little beginnings.